Hey, what's up, everybody? Third video in a row. This is why I was saying why I was saying, as I continue to do these videos, it becomes a lot easier, both in terms of motivation and my ability to kind of just think of topics to speak about, and speak more clearly and articulate myself better on those topics. This isn't going to be like a major video, but after my time in the gym yesterday, I kind of made me think about this a little bit. I'll preface this and say, I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm very grateful for the way that my body was able to physically and mentally recover from substantial nitrous oxide abuse. So it's like, I'm not, being ungrateful, but, well, I guess let me say, so yesterday I did some legs and ab workout, and it's not my first time doing legs and abs since I've got this gym membership. I think it was the third, maybe fourth, leg/ab day. I can't say if it's directly related for sure to, possibly the nerve damage that I experienced, but my ability to lift, at least for my legs, to do exercises is pretty, I wouldn't say limited, but like less than you would think, or at least than I would think. Like, for example, they do have they have Smith machines. It's kind of like a squat rack, but the bar is like held up, or I guess kept in place by two like cylinders, and then they have like little hooks, so if you rotate the bar, it can hook on, and then when you want to lift, you hook off, and then, so it's not quite the same as a squat rack, but they don't have any squat racks, so it's the next best thing that they have. But I can't lift, like, I can barely lift any weight on there. I know Planet Fitness is supposed to be a no judgment zone, and I don't really care, but I'm sure there's some people that look at me doing my sets and are like, is that all that guy can lift? I mean, at least it looks like I should be able to lift more. Even though I guess that's true for most of my workouts, because I do prioritize higher volume, both in terms of the amount of reps and the amount of sets. So I lift less heavy than I could. For me, that's the best way to induce muscle hypertrophy, best muscle growth, for me personally, but that's not the point. But yeah, like I've gotten a little stronger over the past 4 leg workouts, but I'm still like squatting, like capping out, because I'll do like a bit of a warm up or like a ladder, I guess. But at the highest I've gotten so far, it's 25 pounds on each side, which I guess is better than nothing. But that's pretty weak, especially with the Smith machine. I feel that it's easier to do exercises on those compared to if it was completely free weight like a squat rack, because you do have to engage more stabilizing muscles, to hold yourself in place. So I feel like usually you can lift at least a little bit more on the Smith machines than compared to the complete free squat racks. But yeah, it's just like, I'll be able to crank out like maybe 8-9 reps. And again, granted, by that point, I've done like 3 or 4 sets of, well, I'll start with the bar to warm up, and then put 10s on, do a set, and then I'll put another 5-pound plate for a total of 15, do a set, 20, and then 25. When I first started off, it was like just 10s. So I'm making some progress, but anyways, the point, or at least kind of the thought process in my mind yesterday, are kind of what, dude, these freaking crows. Hopefully they're not being too disruptive to this video, because I do want the windows to open a little bit, get a little fresh air. But yeah, I just wonder, it's like, again, I'm so thankful that I can walk and I can, you know, stand on my tippy toes, and I can run, I can bike, I can balance. But I wonder what the lasting implications of the nitrous oxide abuse are. You know, like, I'm sure, at least you would think that on some level it's always going to have an effect on you. And again, you know, I've recovered a lot, which I'm so appreciative of. But I wonder if my brain, like, essentially the areas responsible for your motor function, if those are always going to be handicapped, at least especially in my lower extremities, like going down to my lower extremities, just because that's what was the most effective when I had my nerve damage. Because it's like, I'm sure, well, I don't know how familiar people are with kind of just the anatomy of the human body, but essentially, I mean, strength comes down to two things. Well, I guess a few more than two things, but it's like, you know, if you have more muscle fibers, you're going to be able to lift more. But then what's also important is the connection from your motor cortex down to your muscle group. If you only have like a few neurons firing, you know, you're not maybe fully activating every single muscle fiber. You know, you probably don't ever, because I'm sure that would result in a cramp, but, you know, you're not engaging as many muscle fibers as you possibly could, and that's going to limit your strength too. So for me, it's not, you know, concern about my muscular skeletal system. It's a concern for my nervous system. And if that's always going to be, you know, handicapped, which, I mean, if that's the extent of it, like, that's fine with me. But, you know, I still plan on working out legs. So I guess this will be kind of a cool experiment to see how much strength I could possibly recover. Because granted, before I got this Planet Fitness membership, I haven't worked out like in a gym in several years. And then prior to that, when I did have a gym membership, back before my whole life blew up, I blew up my life. I pretty much never did leg workouts. Normally I've been gifted with decent legs, so I don't have like chicken legs, but I never did do squats or anything. The last time I would consistently do that was back at university. And that's when I was like 19, 20 years old. I'm 34 years old now, so it's been a long time. So it's like, you know, that's definitely playing a pretty big role. Cause, oh yeah, well, other thing I wanted to say, I used to be able to squat like 225 and higher. So, you know, like 2 45-pound plates on each side, which I feel is a pretty good weight. I know there's, you know, power lifters and bodybuilders that lift much more than that, but I'd say that's a pretty good, you know, maybe a little above average. So the fact that I'm struggling or I'm having a hard time doing just 25 pounds on each side is pretty crazy. But yeah, it's been a long time since I have really worked out my legs. Like I said, I guess we'll see. But that's just the thought process that kind of occurred in my head is, you know, what are the lasting effects of laughing gas abuse, whippets? You know, it's like we kind of know the immediate or intermediate effects, you know, in terms of the nerve damage, you know, peripheral neuropathy, inability to walk, cognitive impairments. But, you know, for those that recover to some degree or another, you know, hopefully that's everyone. You know, that is a thought that kind of runs through my head too. I wonder, I'm sure it's so dependent on so many factors, you know, one's own biochemistry and genetics, how your body, how resilient it is, how much it can cope and adapt to stressors. but how much nitrous you are using for how long. With me, I really don't understand how. I don't feel I'm special, but I really don't understand how one can go through like an average of 1,000 cartridges a day, daily, for weeks and months, and even a longer period of time. I mean, albeit not as many as 1,000 a day, but 600, 800 for like a 3 to 4 month span. I mean, I feel like that's a lot. So, but I really do hope, it's been cool. I've been, in contact with a few other people, those that comment on my YouTube videos and ask me a little bit more detail on my recovery and what that process was like. So there are other people going through similar situations, and from speaking with a few of them, they've been recovering pretty well too. So I don't think it's impossible, but I truly wonder if like 100% of people can recover, like as much as I have, or at least a significant sum, because, when you're messing with your nervous system, that's pretty bad. That doesn't really quite regenerate, at least in terms of growing new nerves. I guess maybe because the nitrous oxide kind of strips the insulation off the nerves, which is what results in the nerve damage, that those nerves are still intact. They're just in bad repair. But, if you stop and then, consume like a nutritious diet and vitamin B12, that insulation can come back at least. So the nerve is always still alive. It's just adding that insulation. Because otherwise, if your spinal column gets injured, in a car accident, for example, that doesn't regrow. I mean, if you're a paraplegic or quadriplegic, as far as I know, you're not going to regain that ability again. So I guess thinking of it that way with the insulation, God, this monitor sucks. Sorry. Thinking of it as like kind of the insulation way, hopefully, my hope is that, everyone is able to recover a substantial amount from the nerve damage. But, well, I guess to kind of change what I was saying, I wonder for everyone that has recovered at least some amount of, physical or mental capabilities after abusing so much nitrous oxide, what we still cannot, like, what will affect us moving forward. It's just interesting to think about, because what about 5, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, are we going to be more susceptible to diseases of the nervous system, like maybe multiple sclerosis, or, does it maybe affect there's so many things it could affect, especially our respiratory function. I've talked about before, but those cartridges are pretty pressurized and extremely cold when it's released, and then they have like the machining oil and like just microscopic bits of metal. It's really gross. You can see some pictures of it under a microscope, and you're inhaling all of that and like purposely trying to inhale or maintain mostly nitrous oxide, at least for me in my experience, to maximize the effect and keep out as much oxygen or any non-nitrous oxide gas. So I can imagine that probably is pretty bad for the respiratory system too. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of pondering. But like I said, I don't know. I guess I didn't think about it until I said it in this video. But I guess this will be kind of an interesting experiment. I'm not going to go about it like in the complete scientific method. I'm not going to. Well, I don't have like a control. It's just one person, so it's like that's such a small sample size. But anecdotally, it'll be interesting. I imagine I will get stronger, but I just wonder if I can get back up to the, lifting probably at least 145, but I would like to get to like maybe 2 or more. Get up there in the few hundreds of pounds and squat that for multiple reps. So I'll keep you guys updated, I guess. I probably won't do a specific video for just that, but in some of my recovery recaps, or just wherever, if I, feel the need to slip it in, I'll update you guys, but probably not in a main topic. On that note, too, I wonder if I should try to keep a workout log. I don't like to do that because it's like I'd rather spend that time and effort lifting more instead of writing stuff down or typing it into an app on my phone. Plus, I still have a decent memory, so I have a generally decent idea of my progression of weights. So, because I would like some evidence too, or at least some evidence I could present and be like, hey, yeah, in the span of 3 months, I went from squatting this amount of weight for this amount of reps to this amount now. So yeah, I appreciate you guys listening to me kind of just ramble off and ponder, because yeah, like I said, I think that's an interesting to think about that. I haven't really thought about it until very recently, like yesterday. I mean, it's crossed my mind a few times, but not until doing these leg workouts a handful of times, where it's like, okay, I wonder, yeah, I guess we'll find out. hopefully I can regain my strength, because I'm trying to get swole, son. And if it's like, if I'm not lifting enough, then that's going to make that a little more difficult. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching, especially third video on the third day. I want to try and maintain this consistency. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll see everybody next time.